And as always, I'm gonna probably hang out here till close. Obviously, the issue this morning was the Cloudflare stuff, so we didn't get our morning numbers in. So I apologize about that. So I'm hanging out probably till close here, and it's just so hard. Obviously, Unusual Whales didn't come back online until the Cloudflare stuff was all updated, so it's almost pointless to kind of go back and pull all those numbers intraday, and it's kind of makes it a little difficult with the market open as well. So, but yeah, so glad to hear the sound is good. Stream is running up good. Glad. Yeah, Wes, thanks for that. I saw your comment on the one thing there too. And good afternoon, dear Brett. Glad to see you made it in. But yeah, so if anybody has any flow or anything they want me to take a peek at, feel free to just drop it. Mig, Guac, what's up? Yeah, just feel free to drop the flow in. We'll kind of chart it out before. And I did see, and I'm mad because I didn't get any, but I know we were talking about it in yesterday's stream. We were talking about hymns. And it bounced essentially right off that uptrend there. I mean, yesterday and then today, so could have got a double dip in that one. I didn't get that one there, but that was an interesting one. Hut here, we can take a hut peek at Hut. Man, it's only Tuesday. So this was from the flow and chart section yesterday. This thing, I actually ended up getting stopped out on that almost reject there, and it looks like we're rejecting that 20-day moving average there, but that was a great move there. If you would have got in here at open, I mean, anywhere in there, I mean, you're almost a $2 move up. Since then, you're up 4% on the day. So a good move on those, and our whale is still in also, I believe. Yep, our whale's still in. Most of that volume all carried over as well, too, but could have got in here even at the high point, 184. You hit a high of 240 on the day. Really good return there, obviously. That morning dip would have helped out there, but good move up otherwise after that. Otherwise, yeah, let's see. The PDD calls from earlier, they're kind of essentially flat on those. A lot of time on those there after earnings dip. Those SPY puts ran kind of quick there. Looks like that whale's cutting now, actually, but from that 7, came up and hit that 779, a little over 10% on those. SPT, I wonder if these have moved. Just kind of flat on these still, too, it looks like. Hut we looked at. SPY puts yesterday, that whale exited here, would have had more profits today, obviously. QBTS. These are essentially, what are we at, 115? Down maybe about 15-20% or so on those, just depending on what that fill is right now. Still some time on those. Hymns. I think we had kind of a comeback today, 150. Looks like we were trading up about 130-ish or so, 136. So almost came back here again. A little more time on those. And then last week's stuff, these things actually dropped even more. That's just crazy. Then Verizon, I didn't get a chance to check Verizon, just choppy on that one. So just kind of just chopping along here, and obviously those were your earlier SPY puts there as well. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, most of the day, everything else just kind of choppy. These Intels kind of interesting. Reason why I didn't really spend a lot of time on the Intels, though, you got some of that mid-side flow there. Take a peek at it anyways. You just kind of see how that IV decreases here as that flow comes in. So again, all your new flow starts populating from the top. So everything older is down there. And we just kind of, let's pop back here. See if we can go back another page. So yeah, you see how that IV does spike when it comes in, but then kind of following the whole thing up here. Maybe. Let me go back and click it. Yeah, your 59.26, you just see how it kind of drops then up here at the 59.03, and then even some flow after that too. Kind of spikes. So that IV's kind of all over the place there. Something like that. What else do we have here? Again, kind of a mid-fill here. Spots coming in at 96. Your bid ask is 95 to 97, so they're filling right in the mid there. See, your net premium's kind of messed up and goofy there, where it's not really giving a real signal here. Even if we go back 14 days, let's take a peek. Yeah, just not much here on this one, just pretty flat. 4% out of the money and 122 days. Let's just see where that mid-fill is on it. It does look like we're coming in at the ask. Let's just see where it kind of becomes goofy. So the IV does drop when that flow starts to come in. Let's come down here and just take a peek. So 24.12. So IV does decrease kind of all the way up once that flow comes in as well. So these may be sells at the ask. And again, with it being a mid-fill too, kind of makes it a little tougher. Let's see. These just came in. Looks like it's going to be a block trade probably, so we're not going to get to see flow around it, but we will take a peek. Oh man, tired. So your IV spikes when that comes in. You don't have any flow really around it to kind of take a peek at. And this what we're filling at here, the 1150. You're not again right at the ask there. More on the ask side, but I don't like the fill like that. And usually when they come in the block trade like that, when all that size comes in at once versus like the last one where we looked at where you're seeing all the little hits coming in. This makes it a little tougher to read. If we had some flow after it and a little more flow before it, possibly, but again, that fill just kind of turns it off there a little bit. Let's see what else we got. And all your nut premiums on Q, I almost said SPY there. QQQ are in bid side now as well with call volume picking up. Holdings, so seeing bullish ask side premium on the holdings, puts just flat. Let's go ahead over to the market tide and see what we're doing here. So market tide, again, you're going to see all your data up here that you're kind of looking for as well. So right now, if I'm going to read this market tide, you're looking at, typically I just kind of scan the volume there. Obviously, you're getting a lot of call volume now as well, and kind of looking at your numbers here. So you're seeing a lot of all net call premium spiking there. So your net call, I'm trying to get over here without it messing up. So you're sitting at 63 million for all net call premium. So that, keep in mind, that includes your deep in the money, anything really far out of the money. It's all your call premiums coming in. So it's leaning on the ask side of things here. Now your red dot here, your red dotted line here, so that's out of the money puts. So that's ask side as well here too. Then you look down here, so anything below that zero, essentially the easiest way to explain it, anything above zero inflow, anything below zero outflow. That's just the easiest, simplest way to kind of explain it without diving super deep into everything. But like right now, not getting a really clean signal from that market tide, obviously. Just kind of with your, I'd say it's more cautiously bullish here. I mean, because you have all net call premiums leading the way, but then you still have some out of the money put premium sitting ask side as well. But you're all net put premium and out of the money call premiums are sitting bid side. So you're not seeing a lot of that long-term view of a big move up. Like usually in the, well, I'm trying to think of a way to phrase this where it doesn't sound super bad, but the deeper you are in the money, the less kind of risk exposure you have versus if you're buying out of the money stock or out of the money options, you're essentially looking for that move. Because if you own, or if you have options that are 15% in the money, it's essentially like owning the underlying, especially if you can exercise, and that goes into a whole nother category there. So like right now, I wouldn't say I'm getting a big signal on this, but like earlier, so about 9:30, like you can see, and you can kind of see it on the pops there, and it's a lot easier to see in kind of real time as it's happening. But like on the pops, you're not getting a lot of call participation, and your puts are still essentially up and not really kind of tanking. So to me, that's kind of telling me maybe it's not going to be a super long bounce, and then kind of drop there. And I did post like the good example here. We'll go look at the one on X that I posted. Let's go over here and find it. So like today, 924. So a little easier to kind of see something like this. So here's how the market tide looked at that 924 level. So you see a lot of that put premium up here still. Market or SPY was starting to kind of rise a little bit there, but you don't see a lot of that massive premium going into it. You're seeing volume, but volume typically isn't gonna drive it versus premium. So, and this is almost mixed too, because you're coming off really high put volume and then you get a really big spike in call volume, so it kind of offsets the way that I look at it there. The premiums are more important to me essentially there, but I do combine the volume as well. But essentially your put's still sitting ask side there. You can see them starting to kind of curl up a teeny bit there as well, but your or call premiums here still sitting bid side, and the market's kind of driving. You're not seeing any ask side momentum there. So just kind of looking at it here so I mean it's still leaning bearish. I'm just trying to think of a good way to explain this for everyone. Let's see. So puts were positive there. So essentially what you're looking for is kind of that divergence in the calls and put premiums there. So again, kind of looking here, obviously big spike in SPY there. Your puts not flinching too much there, obviously. Calls not really shooting up too much, and your top net impact, I do kind of keep an eye on this as well too. We're trying to see what's driving that. So like you do kind of notice here that Tesla's your biggest net impact here on that chart. So that is one of the bigger contributors to that premium there. So this is one of your larger ones. AMD would be the second. Like call premiums at the time, you're not seeing any major big spikes like you see in the Tesla one here. So that's just kind of little way to read that chart there. It's good for scalpers. It's quicker than, so I'm trying to think of a good way to explain it, where you don't want to just hop into 0-day contracts when you see something like that, because the tide can take a couple days sometimes to move. It's just kind of one tool. I wouldn't just strictly trade based off the tide. I'd be kind of looking for flow as well to go along with it. So like right now when we read the tide, you can see that market's dropping there. Your yellow line is SPY. So like right now your net call premiums, all of them are still up there, and you're not really seeing a drop off in that, but you're not getting a good rise in those net call, the out of the money call premiums. So kind of makes it a little difficult there to get a really good read on this here versus again like when you see back here, these are pretty much moving in tandem. These are moving in tandem. This is just kind of a mixed bag of stuff right now. We're not really getting real direction, and you just kind of come here and see where you're essentially chopping there. But your big level here, just kind of glancing out here. Let's see, it'll go on the 15. I mean, you're sitting at that 662-ish. Here, let's see if I can get a better view. Let's do 4 hours here. And you can see we're sitting on solid support here at come back here, 662, 699, 663, whatever you want to call it. That's your big support right here, and just kind of having. So my next resistance here, let's just kind of take a peek. Just quick little resistance lines. I mean, you got to get through these levels right here. That's going to be your main level there, and you don't really have a ton to kind of go off of. And looking at that 30-minute chart, you have been getting some selling on those upper levels. Man, it feels like a Friday. And kind of looking at that run up here as well too. That volume decreasing is a little concerning there as well too, but you see that volume kind of pick up on those 30-minute candles there, and that's or probably selling in there. Just even looking at that 15, lighter volume after that, versus you see that heavy volume on that drop there. Then you see kind of that lighter volume on that run up there. A little heavier volume in here, and then kind of a drop, then get some decent volume maybe on that second 5-minute candle there. About this candle. So this one got bought up kind of quick there. Yeah, I mean, you're sitting above. We are currently above our 30-day average. So yeah, I mean, it's a strong volume day. That's for sure. Energy still slightly below. I think everything else, materials almost there. Staples not there. Yeah, mostly everything else, I mean, consumer discretionary, almost 2 times that volume. So K is almost 2 times that too, and it's getting slaughtered. AMD's AMD and Microsoft is getting slaughtered in here. An MU, CrowdStrike, WDC, SMCI is up pretty nice, it looks like. Yeah, so I mean, you're getting a good strong volume day as well. So that's one decent thing that we're seeing volume come back. So let's see what we got here. Let's look at these UAL, the 11, 28, 90, and 91 puts. So kind of a drop off in that call premium there. That's interesting to me. So it's kind of looking at that IV again. It's kind of all over the place here. Spikes again there. Start dropping there again. SMCI is a very interesting company with their horrible financials. Do kind of want to take a peek at SMCI after we look at these UALs, but yeah, that IV kind of dropping there towards the end, especially after that big size and premium come in. These may be sells at the ask, but I do want to take a peek at that other one here as well. This is the one I think we just looked at, so let's go back, sorry. 91, we'll look at the 90. They are very similar actually, so maybe I was looking at the correct one. Yeah, so your IV's all over. These look like sells at the ask possibly. Let's look at BE quick here. It's not going to be a long look because look at your spot here. Again, wider bid ask here. You're coming in almost again right in the middle there, smaller size. Up 2% on the day, and you're seeing put premium, bid side call. How does this look on a further basis? So I doubt it would happen in 3 days, but you are sorry, I have my phone next to me, and just kind of look at the news as it comes in. So it looks like the House just passed the bill directing the DOJ to release the Epstein files. Interesting. More of that fun stuff to deal with. But so BE on a longer time frame here. I like it to fill that upside net call premium gap at some point. See a move back up to that 135-ish, 136-ish level to kind of fill that net call premium gap. And when I'm talking about filling the net call premium gaps, essentially your price just needs to come up and fill that. So like down here, you see how we had that bid side one, that price crushed down and then fills it essentially, and here you're already filled there. So it's got an upside gap, but 3 days is a little quick for me. So this one, so when you're reading this, it's at 172, and again, looking at that time, you're coming in the same second. So educated guess, this is probably the same person. So it's kind of following this up. 73.80, 174. So you just see how that IV's increased, and the entire time it's going up. That is a very, very good piece of flow. I'm actually gonna throw that into our I'm gonna throw it into the developing channel just because I don't like that spread on it. That spread on it is not the best. And actually, I need to look at one more thing here. So we had some volume yesterday as well. So, yeah, this is going to probably be a developing flow one just because you have to check that kind of IV. And I even kind of want to hold off posting that. But this is one that you would want to kind of keep an eye on. See if that 600 carries over and you're sitting about over 1,000 tomorrow, give or take. But you see 561. And it's hard to know until that open interest update changes in the morning, because at 363 maybe they're getting out for some profits at 373. 551 contracts traded on that one, and then 561 on there. So very, very similar. So either A, again, 3 options. I'd say this pretty much on every stream. A, you're going to see that volume, this whale added to it. So this open interest tomorrow should be about maybe 1,200 or so, 1,100, 1,200. 2, you're not going to see a change in the open interest, and it's going to stay about that 628-ish, give or take some. That would mean that whale passed those contracts off to somebody else. And if you see a decrease in that open interest, then that whale closed at the ask. So those are your 3 scenarios that you would see happen there. So, but I mean, just kind of looking at that raw flow too there though, it reads as a buy, so you would have to see how that looks tomorrow. That is a really good looking piece of flow otherwise. I do want to look at one more thing on here. So gamma, yeah. And again, gamma can take a while to fill. It's not as quick as the net call premiums. This can take a long time. I mean, you see how much positive gamma you had here starting in May, going all the way till September. So I would not begin 0 DTEs on something like this. Like, this is where you want to kind of plan it out on the chart and take some time. But back in May, I mean, if you were expecting a big move up there, well, you would have had to wait 6 months there to get that move. But you see how that, it takes a while, but it typically happens. I mean, even from back here, November of last year, we're just trending down here. Trending, and then you get a big downward spike and price was already there, so it's technically filled. Then you're still seeing all that positive gamma, and then you finally get your move up there. So it takes a while, but it's just something good to know in the back of your head. So I wanted to look at SMCI. Let me open up a new one here. We'll just hit the tape. Google puts 390 smaller size. We'll pass on that one. So SMCI, since we're talking about wonderful companies with financials. So what do we got today? So a lot of no side neutral volume here. These 3-day ones are kind of interesting. 83. Some puts here. We'll look at those. That's relatively kind of it. So this put 2% could be some volume from yesterday. So 859, 1200, 9. So that'd get us to about 1,000. We're missing about 200 contracts. So we had 1,000 carry over off 1,300 yesterday. So let's come back here. So I would probably guess this is an opener just at first glance. Again, you won't know until that open interest updates tomorrow, but the puts here 84.67. So IV does rise and spike there as well. So that's interesting flow there. I'm just kind of looking at the time on here, 84.31. So if indeed this all is related, so again, this is all within about a 20-second time frame here. If this is all related, that IV increases the whole way. Your spot price is increasing, so this would fit the criteria as a buy. But I want to check that volume and open interest tomorrow. And that other SMCI put, so a lot of volume on that one, or open interest on it already. Let's go back here and just see where it's all kind of coming here. So bid side there, 3,000. So when do we start seeing that volume? So it looks like just some stragglers, and your big hit kind of came in on 9.9 there. 9.9 and then 10.17. So there's your 9.9, 10.17. And it looks like, I mean, that volume has held, that's the thing. But if they truly were bullish on these and got into the bid, they're up pretty over 100% on those. Oh, and it looks like it was multi-leg when it came in. The multi-leg stuff I don't spend too much time on, unless it's a roll or something. But yeah, I mean, if they were truly bullish on that and got it at the bid, they are looking that back. Otherwise, they are probably buying them back. Not a good price. Let's see, what else do I got? I need to pop back here. Let's clean that up. SMCI. So it looks like all your lower net call premiums were hit, and that's just, I mean, look at all that call outflow on there. That's just kind of telling there, and you're finally starting to see a little bit more come in there. Finally. And gamma on it. You're pretty much at that level, so there's not really any major outliers there. It looks like everything, all your other levels were hit already, so nothing major there. And yeah, we just looked at the highest volume contracts, but another quick view here. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything, and those puts are interesting, but would want to double check. We are trading, and on a pump like this, we're up 4% on the day. You're only trading 0.48 times the 30-day volume, so that's telling me that it's not a massively strong pump. versus like the 112 here where you're down 7.5%, or the 165 there where you're down 11% there. So it's a weaker pump today, so that is something that's interesting to me. And you're not seeing a massive spike in that net call premium, just a little uptick, but obviously it's I don't want to say considerably big uptick, but you're essentially still flat. But compared to the last, I mean, you look at your last 30 days there, that's a pretty good improvement there. Call volume just slightly picking up there too. So yeah, SMCI not really seeing too much there. Oh, did we break through that 20 and kind of rejecting now? Go look at the 5 minute on that one. Yeah, what a nice move out of that demand zone though today. I mean, even if you would have just took it as a momentum there from 38.88 up to 39, almost a dollar move, that is a that's a 2.5% move there, so that's a good move on those if you would have gotten that. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, Google puts, not much there. Spy calls, and that's a really small size for a spy call. I like to see that heavy. So like here, obviously, all those 627s coming in, it looks like it's smaller size, but your timing, this is all one whale here, and you're just seeing multiple hits on that expiration there. But it looks like that whale, and this is why I'm like, always adjust stops up, always adjust them up, because it looks like that whale's probably getting out here for a loss there, especially because they got in about 713 was our call out, and then hit that 763, 779 there for a day. So I mean, you're well over that 10% where you should at least have a stop on to break even. Does anybody have any flow or anything they want me to take a peek at? Look at these WRBYs while I wait here. So really goofy spread there. Not a fan of that spread, but that's definitely a clean opener there. Very clean, clear opener there. Net call premium is up. How's that looking on a 30-day? So we are looking for a move up there. Yes, I will pull that up for you next here. Let me just run through this one quick here. So I'm seeing some net call premium on this one. Obviously a ways to go here. That spread sucks, but let's see. And then I will answer your question on that one after I look at SPT there, Navisha, so 1 second. So the WRBYs here, so 60, so that does read as a buy, but then that IV drops there. So yeah, not a fan of that flow there actually. Then that flow drops even more there. Yeah, a little suspicious there, especially on the pump on the day there. Let me just go take a peek at another couple pieces here. Obviously that's going to be your highest volume on the day, so you get the 31-day out stuff coming as well. Just want to make sure this is in some prior volume hidden in here somewhere. So 34, 38. So those are up about 10%. Yeah, you don't see a lot of volume on those in your open interest. Yeah, there's just not a lot of that. That is really unusual to me there, the WRBYs. What are we trading at today? 2.27 times the daily volume. So your big red days are kind of your heavier volume days there. 15 times the volume down 3%, 7 times down 11%. Almost 16 times down 5%. So to me, that's kind of just telling me on the pumps you're seeing the heavier volume kind of go and sell that essentially because you're seeing those bigger red days there. So that one is interesting, but yeah, your gamma levels are hit. So again, I mean, another perfect example here. You see all those high level, all those gamma levels picking up. And again, it's the same as market tide, just the cleanest explanation. Anything above zero, inflow. Anything below zero, outflow. That is just the simple explanation. There's obviously more that goes into it, but just the most simple term, especially for somebody that's a beginner. But you can see how it's all picking up there. And it just takes a little bit here, and then your price finally hits your high level there. And like now, whoops, you're below those, you hit all those lower levels, and you did have a bigger level here back on the 14th. So I mean, you're kind of seeing some positive gamma, and you are seeing that price kind of reflect and bounce up a little bit there. So that is interesting to me. So that would be maybe some flow I would keep an eye on. I do want to look at the chart on it quick here too. I'm trying to do the charts in the live a little bit more as well. So that's a bull flag right there on the 5-minute chart. That is a clean bull flag there. I was going to say that daily is a bull flag right there, but I didn't realize I should switch it over. So that was just quickly looking at that. You just see how it's a flag. It's flagging right there. I'm going to look at it on the daily though. So your daily is obviously not a bull flag there. Let's look at the weekly here. So that flow was a little longer term, and I do actually, telling you right now, I like that weekly chart a little bit better. And why do I like that weekly chart? Here is our uptrend. We're sitting right on that here. Let me adjust it up just a teeny bit. So you can see, I mean, bounce, 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 bounce. We're going to bounce again, or, I mean, we have that flow to kind of back us up there, and just kind of looking at that RSI too. So this is just your strength index here. So again, you're oversold right now. It's typically bounced from these oversold levels. So that's interesting on that weekly chart there, and just kind of looking a little bit deeper here. I like to, my charts, you see a lot of people with a million lines on their charts. I try to keep my charts very, very clean. As you can tell, it's typically just trend lines and support and resistance. But let's kind of just draw out this zone here. So again, you can just see we're in that, I'd call it a support demand zone still, just because your last 2 times you've bounced out of it and you are sitting right on that uptrend there. The only thing I don't like here is the weekly volume. That is some heavy selling on the weekly. So let's kind of zoom in here on the daily and just see where that volume is coming from. So it looks like it came in after earnings here, and it looks like most of your volume there was buying volume on the day. So not as scary now when you look at it there, knowing that, hey, that volume at least was heavy buying volume near that trend line. So that's actually a really good setup there. And then if you can get that gap fill up to 19, I just didn't like how that flow looked here. But your net call premiums, you do have to come up and hit that level there. So long term on those two. So let's do the SPTs here quick. Let me pop over here, just open another tab, just why not. So the SPT 116.10 calls, and I'm pretty sure they're just in. I think I just looked at them at the beginning of the live. Yes, they are in still. 98, trading at about 93 right now. Getting a lot of time on those, and this one from the live yesterday, if anybody wasn't in here, I just kind of want to hop back to it, because this flow actually looked really good, and the setup looked pretty good as well. So so you see when that flow comes in, IV spikes, you're at 73.31. I'm going to have to pop back out here and just redo it. So 73.31 was that first piece of flow when it came in, so right there, IV spike, so a couple little drops there, but we pop back up, looks good, looks good. Again, only 4K of that premium with the small drop there. Coming up here, looks good. Then when we looked at those internals here, it looks like it's coming up there. So again, for that net call premium gap to fill, you're going to have to see that price come up and hit that level here. So you're going to see about maybe $12 or so, give or take. So I mean, that's 20% up from here. But again, doesn't mean it's going to always happen, but historically, you can see, like here, this one back on 10/14, we were down, and then you got your big run up there. Your gap is essentially closed there. And then you had a small little pop there. I'm just trying to see, that one kind of was there already at the time, so that gap would essentially be filled. But massive spike yesterday. That is something that should catch your eye, and you're not getting a lot of volume here today either, but your highest open interest contracts all call, or some puts there too as well, but mostly longer dated calls there. And then looking at the gamma on this one, was beautiful. I mean, you are seeing that incline there come up on that there, just the historical aspect of it. Again, you're going to see that spike at some point, and like here, you open up, I mean, you're seeing a lot of it and just not a lot of gamma. And again, it takes a while, but you're finally hitting those levels now and kind of closing those gaps. But now you're seeing a lot of positive gamma. So the SPTs look very good, and I believe, I don't know if we charted it out yesterday, but let's chart it out quick. And then Navisha, I will grab the highest volume. I'll show you a really easy way to kind of do it here, but let me just do the SPTs quick. Oh, here we go. Okay, and this one, oh yeah, this one was just at all-time lows. So I mean, and that, I want to see when that contract was, 59 days. So I probably look at it, and it's hard to look at something on the weekly. Usually if they're 30 days or more, I usually start out on the weekly chart, work my way in, and kind of fine-tune my lines and all that. But here, I mean, you don't really have any support or anything to go off of on the weekly. So pop this back to the daily, and you can see I got my daily here, and a little lighter volume today too. And I mean, this is your support. You're on support right now at this kind of 944-ish level here, and I mean, you don't have any other support to really go off of to kind of get a clean trend, unless you kind of wanted to draw. Let's see what we can draw up in here. I typically won't draw like this, but you don't have anything really to go off of, so you could almost even, and it's back to the IPO too, so it's tough. So I mean, maybe see a bounce like this at some point. I mean, came down, you bounce, massive drop down there, you bounce. See if we can kind of wait. Oh, I don't want that. Okay, come back here. Okay. I mean, it's just such an ugly chart where you can't really draw anything out. Maybe get a little, kind of little trend line coming in here. I mean, if you wanted to draw it like this, I mean, I'd probably draw it like that and kind of sit in there, and then let's see if we can get a top trend line in there too without cutting out too much of that. Yeah, and see, I don't like how you have to cut so much of that out. I don't like that, but let's just do some fine tuning here. We'll just come up here and kind of trend it down from there. And that's still not the cleanest view either. But you can see how you want that chart to come out. So again, this is your all-time, you're on that pretty much downtrend all-time right now. This would be just kind of, again, part of a little wedge channel, whatever you want to call it here. You can see how we're squeezing in tighter. So we are looking for a move here, and either you're going to get that good move up, or it's going to obviously break and fail there. And I hate saying both sides like that, but at least you have that flow to support the upside move there, which, I mean, you're looking for. Like, if I was going to take this trade long term, I'd feel comfortable grabbing contracts here, but if we closed probably on the weekly below this, what do we got here? 939-ish, 959-ish. That area, I'd probably maybe look to get out of that. Just because, I mean, you're looking for that explosive move up here, essentially. So that's a really interesting one there. That is a really interesting one there. But let's let me show you here, Navisha, now about the highest volume contracts post. So that post that I did, those so essentially you would just do that just like any other piece of flow. So you're on unusual whales here. So those ones, the highest volume ones, do come from a different spot. I don't grab those from the flow feed. They actually come from my options screener here. So like in the two channels within the Discord, you see the hottest contracts and the highest volume. So like I have a 25K premium plus. So everything in here is at least 25,000 in premium, and it's all, I believe, 80% ask side and above. So that's what you're trying to kind of filter out there. Because like if I get rid of that 80% there, you're gonna see a lot of volume and different other contracts that kind of aren't super meaningful. Versus when you have that, that full, that full like 80% bid ask volume there. You want that ask side volume to be very, very heavy on something like that. So like this, okay, we'll look at, so I'm under the hottest contracts, and that's the same setup for the highest volume, but so like the highest volume ones, essentially what you do is just kind of like you do throughout the flow feed there. You're just looking through it, kind of looking for the, IV rising and all that. We can look through a couple of them here. I'm going to grab a drink quick too. And like the highest volume and hottest contracts, I prefer looking at those, and that's just personal for me. I prefer looking at those after hours, just because you got so much stuff going on intraday. Like today, like I was really hoping we'd get the Cloudflare issues solved before open, because I knew once that bell rang at 8:30, I'm not going to be able to get my morning numbers in, just because it takes me about an hour or so to get through all that stuff, get it all formatted correctly and all that. So it's trying to do that intraday when you have your flow feed constantly going off. That's going to be interesting. We're going to look at these TMCs too. That's interesting there. But so like your hottest contracts, highest volume, and again, you can kind of do it however you want, but I like doing it after close. So essentially all you're going to do here is just like your flow feed, again, everything's going to be timed in here as well. So you got your CCJs. Let's look at these. So the 116.70 puts. So looking at these, okay, you can see we do have some previous open interest here, and it looks like that came in on the 13th. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of pop this back so I can see how that candle looked on the 13th. Okay, so 6,000 contracts, and then you have 11,000 come in here, and it looks like most of that came in one candle, 9,000. You know right away, based off that math, that 9,650 does not fit into that 7,020. This is an opening trade, no doubt about it. You cannot fit that 11,000 into that 7,000, as if, let's say we had 1,500 contracts come in here. That could possibly be some of those profits coming off. We don't know. That's when you have to kind of double check that open interest that next day. But essentially here, okay, I'm looking at a variety of different things here. So out of the money, you're not too far out of the money for the time, 60 days. Multi-leg, I like anything under 10%. If you're a spread trader, obviously you can kind of go in there, dissect them. I do not like trading spreads. I'm more of a single leg trader, so that's kind of the first two things that I'm looking at. I'm looking at the premium. That's really hefty premium. That's a good sign there. I'm looking at my net premiums here, so I do see, and at the time here, keep in mind, you'd see that big spike here in net put premium and you're not seeing call premium. So right now, and this is an advantage of kind of doing it after hours as well too, you get that full picture of the day versus if you get flow coming in at, again, 9 o'clock Central Time for me, you don't get that whole picture of the day versus once the day is closed. Hence, that's why I do the highest volume and the hottest contracts at the end of the day. So you get that final number on the day, the final highest premium contracts that look good and all that. So here, and then what I do the next, I kind of like to look at the last 7 days or so just to get kind of an idea. Or I'll pop it out further as well too. I just click around mostly. So mostly a lot of net put premium, a little net call premium here today. So interesting to me there. The tide or the net premiums here. I always say market tide when it's net premiums for the individual ticker, but because market tide, again, another little learning point. Market tide is every contract, every option premium coming into the market. So it's from GameStop, Beyond, AMD, Nvidia, all of them. Versus this is just CCJ right here. This is all you're seeing is just CCJ. So next, I'm kind of looking at that. So like this is kind of mixed to me. Nothing major there. So let's look at the flow here. So I always come click on that volume candle. So this one's coming in as a block trade again. So these are kind of junky to me. So once you start looking, and this is why it's always important to kind of look at that raw flow under the hood too. So again, you're not coming in right at the ask here, but again, it's more on the ask side. I don't have any flow before it, so I don't get to see how that IV is impacted, the spot price is impacted, the bid-ask spread is impacted when that large chunk of volume comes in. So it can make it a little difficult to get a clean read on it. And just kind of looking at the timings, and we don't know for sure what's related here, and I'm going to say kind of probably based off the timing, not much of it is related. The closest one I would say that would probably be related would be that bid side one there, which would be an IV decrease, and just because that's about 25 seconds or so later. But everything else about a couple minutes later. And even so, if you did want to say these are all related, again here, your IVs decreases pretty much the whole way except on that one there. So that makes it a little difficult there. I will usually pass on flow that's in a block trade like that. But your next step you could always do is then just click on that ticker name. It'll bring you over to the overview feed. Again, just I like to look at the highest contracts of the day, just kind of see what's going on. So like here, ask side on the puts, those are ones we're looking at. Calls, so mixed bid on the call, bid on the put, ask side call. I would almost say calls look a little better on this one, just quick glance without going into each, and you can go into every single one and really look if you want, but I usually don't do too much of that. So then gamma. So gamma's telling me obviously you're looking for kind of a drop here as well. So you're not really getting a super good clean read on these. Because with that gamma down there, that would tell me you're seeing a possible move down, but that flow just didn't look that super good. So, and again, that's one thing. When you're looking at flow, I'd say about 95% of the flow you look at is not good. So it's just kind of trying to weed out the flow that possibly might look good, possibly for a bounce. So let's see if I can find another one in here. So the TMCs, we're going to actually look at those because they're hitting right there. So you can see how, oops, let me clean up some of this. So let's look at the TMCs. We have the 5/15/2026, 15 calls coming in. So, and this is a nice thing about the highest volume contracts there too as well. It's going to show you obviously your highest volume. You can easily just kind of look at that volume and that open interest. This is interesting to me. Obviously, a lot of volume on the day, barely any open interest. Take a peek. Okay, well, here we are. That whale is sitting right here, and the one thing, I'm not a fan of trading stocks that are under $10 because they're such slow movers and you get a lot more kind of volatility as well. These are 187% out of the money. This is almost a lottery ticket in my opinion, because I mean that's just, I mean, ridiculous there. The odds of that, and you're getting a block trade here too, so you're not really getting a full clean read, and you can't read that flow. So these might be sells at the ask. You never know. I mean, 187% out of the money for next May. You never know. I'm just kind of looking at the premiums here. I mean, like, you look at your net call premiums, you got a ways to go to match that. So, I mean, they might be interesting if you like slower movers. This would be something I'd probably put in that kind of developing flow channel where it's interesting, but it's not super quality flow, I'd say. It's 185% of the money. That's a little far. But again, that's a $5 move on a $5 stock. Let me see if I can just find one good example here, and then I will pull Uber and TNA for you, Mig. Just want to see if I can find a good one here. So, like, let's just do these ASTSs. So 15% out of the money. Again, your premiums aren't really telling you much. You're seeing ask side puts and calls. 14 days, are we seeing anything? No, you're kind of seeing more of bullishness there, in my opinion. So let's look at the flow quick. Again, this is an easy one where you don't have to go back and kind of look at that previous open interest. You just see that volume there and know right away it's an opener. So like this, okay, this is coming in as a block trade, but you do have volume around it to kind of go off of. So good example here. So we do have a previous kind of flow alert here earlier in the day, about 30 seconds or so before, 39 seconds, whatever, give or take. My math isn't there. So I'm looking here, you see that IV, so this is why it's important to see that flow around it too. So IV's up at 87.96, IV's dropping, so it comes up a little bit here, and then it continues to drop here. You can see that 953 flow all the way till then, so that's it's rising up there, then you get that flow 20 seconds later. So again, you don't know 100% sure if this is all connected or not, but again, this just comes with screen time and a lot of reading this all day. Just kind of based off that timing there, I would probably make an educated guess. It's probably all related at some point there, and you can always just come over to the flow here and look at that gamma. So it does show a little downside there. Do we have any? All our levels look to have been hit. I need to go back to the overview. Sorry, let's see. So a lot of bid side calls on that one there. So that could be some profit taking there as well. Well, let's take a peek. So yeah, large bid side call here. So 81% multi-leg. So this is where kind of can get a little goofy here. And I'm gonna guess it's probably a roll of some sort. Yes, it is. Or is it called debit spread? I always usually just go down here. Actually, what I usually do is just pop into the option profit calculator and just kind of see what it's supposed to do. So they are expecting it to go up with that one. So like those ASTSs, I probably would not short there, especially with that IV drop. I'm going to do one more from there. I'm trying to find a really good... Oh, crap. Okay, go back to my volume. No, where's my option screener? I'm going to do one more from the... I'll do it from the hottest contracts. You probably get a little better view there. So, like, let's do the plug, the 116.26.3 calls. Again... No, sorry. I'm trying to find one that's actually really easy to kind of... So the VNDAs here. A lot of volume on the day, obviously. It's going to be opening volume because you only had 572 contracts open. Right away, I'm looking at this one. You see how that flow's coming in here. And you're getting a big spike in that net call premium. You don't have to go back and look because you see it all coming in on this candle. Definitely an opening trade. I'm popping it in here. So, again, so you do have them coming in as block trades again here, but you kind of have back-to-back block trades here. So, I mean, you have at least a little more data there. You just don't have any before it, which, again, kind of sucks. But your IV does kind of pop there on that second set. So, I mean, maybe that's a good sign there. But it doesn't help when the stock's up over 20% on the day either, because that's almost chasing it at that point. And it looks like your net call premium's kind of filled there. And how's your gamma there? Gamma, you're right at the line there. So, like, you can see how quick that gamma can pop, though, if it really wants to. I mean, it popped from 17th yesterday up 20% today. So, I mean, it can pop. It's just you don't know when. If we did know when, we'd all be rich and millionaires. But that's not how easy it is. But, yeah, so in short, Visha, that's a really, really quick way of just how I would kind of go through the highest volume contracts or the hottest contracts. Just pull them kind of one by one if something's really interesting to you or something sticks out. That's kind of how I would do it. But let's move on to Uber and TNA here, and I'm going to grab a drink quick too. It can be, and it can be confusing at first too. It's a lot to learn for unusual whales. I mean, I've been using them since 2021, 2022, and it takes time. It's just a lot of screen time and kind of asking questions and kind of getting used to it. Like, you will not learn this overnight. If anybody tells you that you will learn it overnight, they're probably lying to you, because it's not the easiest thing to learn. Because a lot of it, I mean, if you just open this up and look, like, you don't know where you're looking at. Like, what are you looking at right away? That's the big thing. It's like you need to know what data points you're looking at it. But let's head on over to let's do Uber and then TNA. So let me pull this up. Uber. So Uber. So I've seen some 59-day outputs here. Let's just kind of take a peek at those. So obviously, again, this is one where you'd have to check kind of that volume and be maybe a little tougher to kind of get a good read on something like this, because that 1400 volume today does fit in that 1200 or that 12,000. So this just kind of coming back here. I mean, you don't know what with contracts being exchanged here. Obviously, your big one was at 6,800 on the 4th. And all of that does still look to be in there as well. Let's see where that other big chunk came in, back on 1020. So right there. So if they are truly short on Uber here, they're sitting at about break even all the way around. I want to look at that original flow there. So, and it looks like it's a multi-leg trade as well too. It's a roll. So it looks like they rolled those puts, but where do they roll them to? Oh, the 116.92.5 put. Is that the one we were just looking at? Yes. Okay, so they rolled them to that from whatever that first one was there. So puts there, another big opener there, obviously 92.5. You're not too deep in the money. I mean, you're 2% in the money. Anything I'd say 5% or less is probably okay for in the money. There's just so much that can happen when you're in the money and you won't notify it. I will do ONDS for you, and then I'll do Circle for you, J-Rod. We'll have time. We got about 25 minutes left. We're good. Damn, it's already 2:30? I feel like I just started this live like a minute ago. Jeez. So, okay, that Uber one, we don't get a good read on that. Let's see what else we got coming in today. Bid side call. A lot of bid side puts. So, what sticks out to me, again, those 116.92.5 puts. Just if you didn't have a lot of that open interest. Just kind of looking at the net call. So, again, another example here of that net call premium gap. You see that big bid side call premium drop here on 11.11 here, and it takes a little bit, but you end up coming here and hitting that level. So for puts, we don't look at the put premium because essentially, like you see that big put premium gap. To fill that gap, you would have to go up, and obviously, when the stock goes up, your puts don't profit. So you're kind of looking at call premium more just for this strategy. But kind of looking at your highest volume contracts on the day, again, a lot of weeklies here. So the 59-day call, that's a little better there. Got some 82.5s there, some 80 puts. Yeah, I'd say it almost leans more bearish there. What are we trading at today? 0.74. So decent volume day. Not even at 1 times though. Then Gamma here. Gamma's still showing me some downside in Uber, and I haven't looked at the Uber chart for a little bit. So Uber's still on its daily uptrend there. Probably, draw this as a channel here as well. Just a really quick sloppy channel there. It's kind of looking like we're moving in within this here. So that Uber one, I mean, you're sitting in the middle, I'd say, of that channel. They're coming up to that 200, so that'd be your kind of key level there. So let's do, then you had TNA. TMA. So TNA, so a lot of earlier calls, obviously. That's a big one there, 185. Those look like they're already moving up there. How's our premiums looking over the last 14? Still ways to move up there to fill that gap. And again, you see how that net call premium drops there and takes a little bit, but then it eventually fills. Just kind of that so like, again, it doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes it can, sometimes it can't. But like here, I mean, you see that big drop back here on, what is that, October 16th? We just hit that, closed that yesterday here on the 13th, or on the 13th there. So it can take a little bit. So again, that's kind of why charting is huge too. So like, I mean, if you wanted to play these gaps, I'm looking for resistance here. I mean, you can just kind of cleanly see resistance there too. So like, if you know there's a lot of net call premium on the bid side there, you come back up here on a day like, hey, maybe I'm going to grab some puts, and then you get a good move down there. But let's go back to looking at these. So these ones look like they're obviously already kind of green on those. Let's see, bid side calls. I want to pop that premium down a little bit. bid side calls. Yeah, and you're getting some, looks like, multi-leg stuff, short puts. Let's look at our fundamentals here. So again, yeah, I mean, that's, you're looking for a move up to fill that gap, and you'd have to get back up to that, what is that, 39-ish? Or no, that's 47 there to get to that gap there. Let's look at your gamma. So gamma, yeah, I mean, you're could be a little more downside there, but otherwise it looks like all your big levels have been hit essentially there. Maybe get a little bit more up there at some point, but for the most part it looks like you're kind of trending down there. And then let's do see how we're looking on the chart here. So I'm going to pop this weekly. This one, I mean, you get a smoother move on something like this. Like, this is kind of how I like my trend lines. Looking here, I mean, the goal when you're drawing trend lines is to get as much of the bottom of the candles as possible. Obviously, I don't want to come out here because you're going to leave off so many little intraday candles, and they're not going to, everybody's trend lines are going to be slightly different to some degree, but get pretty close here on something like this where you're not seeing a lot of those candles outside. So this is your obviously IPO back here, and you're just kind of trending up here, and kind of want to draw. I mean, you got a sharper kind of downtrend here, and I just typically go out further just so I can kind of see how it possibly could move. And this one also is within, I gotta tighten that up a little bit here. I'm gonna pop this to the daily as well too, and we'll take a better look. So you are kind of coming back in to that demand zone there. So obviously consolidated a lot in here. I mean, you didn't really get any massive moves down or up. Even here, you don't get a massive move up. You get a move down, and then you get your move up there, drop, and then you pop, and then there failed up. Just a lot of consolidation here. I'd almost like to see this if you could, because you're sitting pretty neutral there too. If you could see a move, and it's a pretty hefty move down to get to that level, but if you can get a, yeah, I mean, that's a 38% drop there. You're probably not going to get that. Maybe a little less riskier spot. Let's pop this to the daily and see if I can find a slightly better entry. So like your daily here. You can just see how clean those pops are from that uptrend here, though. I mean, you just see how we're just slightly, I mean, you're not breaking it hardly. Come close and you kind of rise up there. Obviously 2020, kind of an outlier there, so. But again, you pop there, came back down, you popped, came back down, you popped, working your way back down now. That's such a hefty drop. Another, what do we say, 30-some% from there. 40%, yeah, you're probably not going to get that. I mean, I'd probably maybe see if you could get to that bottom of this demand zone even. Because, I mean, that's at least a little better. At least consolidate within that area, but it might just be a consolidation name for a little bit until you kind of get to the end of this little wedge here and you pop or drop more there. Yeah, that's a really interesting one. Do we have any little short-term gaps here? Any downside gaps that need to get filled? This one, I can't see that VWAP's in the way. Nope, you got a little gap here to fill from 3760 to 3797. So you got a little gap there. And it looks like that one filled there. Well, you do have a gap down here as well, too. I mean, this is going to be your... Oh, this is April this year. To 2297 up to 2371. So, yeah, you do have a couple downside gaps. If you could at least get down to that gap. I mean, you're close to that gap there on that uptrend, but 40% is asking a lot for a move on that. It's kind of a tough spot on that one, but my read probably gonna consolidate, but never know. All right, let's do circle here for J-Rod. Circle, and well, that's probably just want to see what the market's doing. Oh, we're coming back down to VWAP here. What do you mean, Meg? You should be able to see it in there. Let me... You should be able to see it. Hold on. Yeah, if you just... Here, let me... I'm gonna forward you something in here and just see if you can go... see it here. Yeah, just try clicking it, because it shows I can see you in there. If you're having issues, I can troubleshoot with you after close too, if you can't get in there. But they should be, it's under the, so if you go into the market data, it's the last two on there. It's net premium gaps and daily gamma gaps. I can tag you in the main chat with them too if there's an issue. Actually, I can just do it in here. Daily gamma gaps and net premium gaps. Yeah, you should be able to click on them and weird. I'll take a look because I show that you're in there and able to see JKL. Yeah, like I show because it's all the same permissions as the other ones. That's odd. Yeah, if you can take a screenshot for me when you try to click on those and let me know. But they should bring you to that channel. I do show you have access to it. Weird. Okay, I'll take a peek at it at close here. Let me take a peek at circle here for J-Rod though. That's interesting. That's really weird because the permissions are goofy. So I'll mess with it after here. Oops, enough. So let's look at 50,000 on circle here. So a lot of multi-leg junk here. So I do have some good ask side calls here on the 80. It looks like we've got the 116.80 call. Good premium here. I do have some volume on the day, so I want to kind of take a peek at these. So it's messy volume, messy bid and ask side. So you're about split 50-50 there. Looking at your premiums here, both bid side for call and put premium. Look at the 14-day. I'm not seeing anything major sticking out here. No major spikes in call or put premium. Obviously your spike here was kind of already matched. Let's see if we got any other good flow here. So more bid side flow there. So okay, well you got some big puts that came in here earlier in the day, obviously. So 1600. So let's see. It looks like a lot of that came over yesterday. So I wonder if I want to double check this tomorrow, but about 3,000 there, 1,500 there. Either they took off half of their position or they probably added there to average down a little at 450. What were they at? 439. Oh, they could have averaged in a little bit. Let's see how that flow looks. So 84, so it does spike when it comes in. Let's look at this one. So 86.29, you don't get a really massive change there coming at the ask. Again, your premium's not really showing you anything. Obviously, massive spike in net put premium there. See, so a lot of bid side volume on that 116-100 call. So to me, it looks like 6,400 there, 27 there. I think this whale exiting for a loss. Just a quick little estimated guess on something like that. Taking out most of their position there. What else do we got? Bid side, bid side. So 100 put 31 days out. These ones, okay, we've got a little open interest here. Let's just quick look. So we had 3,600 and 6,200. Where did all that volume start coming in? So I can only go back to June. So it looks like most of it coming in there on the 3rd. Just looking for any massive drops in volume. So just kind of some light volume, but not massive open interest changes. Kind of following that up. Yeah, I'm seeing volume, but not massive open interest changes. I'm trying to get to the bigger volume here. Oh, so 2,000 on the 12th. Here again, no open interest change. So I think whatever is going on here is, I'm going to pop this back to the 12th. So the 12th here, obviously, you had that volume there. You can see 2,000 contracts, no, barely a change in that open interest. So somebody else bought these contracts. So whoever that original whale person was in there, they're out. So this is not a super good clean read. And again, obviously, you're 30% of the money with 100% multi-leg. You can see that multi-leg here. So it probably is. Oh, here we go. So it is a downward spread at least. So they are bearish. They want it to go down. I want to look at one more thing on it for you. Gamma. Yeah, you're pretty much in line with your daily gamma there. Nothing major sticking out there. Yeah, I'm not really seeing too much there on circle. Let's see. And just multi-leg, multi-leg, multi-leg. Yeah, I'm not really seeing much on circle there for you, J-Rod. Always good to double check there. I wonder how the chart's looking on it though. Another chart where you don't have much to go off of. So I'll come in here. I mean, it's all you can really kind of draw there for support on something like that. Even, I mean, you can kind of draw from up here too as well. I mean, it's not clean because you have all these little gaps in there. Always giving me the tough ones. God, that's ugly. Let's look at it on the weekly. So lighter volume there on the weekly there, but again, you're not getting that clean trend. Yeah, you're not going to get a trend line on that one without it being really ugly. Yeah, that's ugly, but it almost looks, if you inverted it, it almost looks like a reverse cup and handle, so you could see some more move downwards here. Let me get my little handy dandy pen here. So I mean, here would be your cup, here would be your handle. You'd look for a move down off that too. Yeah, that's an interesting one. How they do on no, come here. Oh, I hate that tool sometimes on there, like, get out of here. So how do we do on earnings? Did we beat? So So B earnings. Where's my revenue on this one? Where's my revenue? So B revenue 2. So beat it by 4.5%. Be your earnings per share. That's why you're getting killed, because they don't think you can do it again. Interesting. All right, how's the market finishing today? Back down to red there. Well, we were green for a little bit on the day. And again, this kind of ties back to the market tide when we were talking about that. How you were seeing those pumps, but not a lot of call participation there. And that volume always comes back. Well, option sentiment's really greedy. I'll give this a refresh and just take a peek. Yeah, greed kills. 100 million volume day though. So you got a really strong volume day there. Really strong volume. This PDD's coming back. Kind of flat. Something on the 59 day too. You don't have to hop in those that same day. Obviously, you know there's a lot of time on something like that. Coin and ONDS. Didn't we do ONDS already? I think we did ONDS. Am I thinking of something different? I can pull them up again. For some reason, it just sounds familiar. Let's do coin and ONDS quick here, and then I'm going to hop off here. Always got time to kind of do a couple. Let's just do them. I'm going to kind of do them speedy. So you'll see how I kind of do it in my speed here. So, okay, we're going to do coin first. So coin. I'm not going to change my filters here. So just kind of scanning quick some puts there. Puts there. Obviously big multi-side put there. And this is telling me it's a really goofy multi-leg. So they do want it to go up. So that's a bullish multi-leg strategy there. A lot of deep in the money puts there, so kind of arbitrage-y. I'm ignoring that. I just keep it on my feed just so I can kind of get a glance of everything. Bid side puts, bid side puts. Again, deeper in the money though. Nothing major out of the money there that those 3-day puts. And again, that's so deep in the money where it's just kind of, you don't get a good view on that. Let's look at our premiums here. 14 days, just kind of flat overall here. Your net call premium gap there filled today. So that's, might see a bounce back finally now with all those premium gaps filled. Gamma, you're pretty in line with your levels. Could maybe see a smaller move down a little bit still, but otherwise looks like everything else hit there. Your high hit there. And I do want to just look at one more thing. Yeah, looking at your premiums here. Yeah, this is all just deep in the money, highest volume junk here. This is your cleanest one, that 270 call. That's 3 days out there, it looks like. Got some other ones here as well too. I'm just gonna quick look and see if they're giant whales or not. So with 835, they're down about 50%. That's just a very quick math in my head. That's not 50%, but a lot of volume here. Not seeing a single whale. This would have to be a double check there because you're seeing same size volume. It's multi-leg. So coin, I'm going to tell you I don't see anything massive. Obviously, you're getting a lot of bullish premium, though. Let's do, and then ONDS here quick. ONDS. Pop this down a little bit. take that filter off. Whoops. We're up 25% on the day. So bid side call, probably taking profit. More ask side calls coming in here about 140. Bid side put, looks like they're selling them. More ask side calls. Did these make a big move? 165 closed at 186, so they're up kind of big. So you got a little more space to maybe move up and fill those net call premium gaps there. Maybe it was a different one. I don't think we did ONDS. They all run together when you look at them constantly. What a move. I mean, drop and then you come back up. So that's interesting. And you do have that downside net call premium there too. I'm going to pop this 30 days quick. So it actually looks like it filled a little. No, it still needs to fill a little bit. Your gamma. So you're pretty much in the line with your gamma. Obviously, looks like you hit all your levels up there. Do we have any other higher hidden levels? No. Yeah, I don't see much for that now, and I just want to highest contracts. So kind of split there. Obviously, you traded 1.3 times that volume. So yeah, on your higher volume days, you are seeing a lot of upside momentum there. It's up yesterday. But yeah, I'm not seeing too much there. You're pretty in line with those net call premiums there. Could see a little bit more up there, but you do have some downward there too as well. So you kind of split there. And let me just do this, and I want to quick check coin for you too. So ONDS. So this one looks like you're breaking out of that kind of downtrendish area. You're in that demand zone there. I wonder if I had this drawn on the 4 hour. Yeah, your 4 hour chart, and you broke out of that downtrend, so that's a good sign there. Coin. Coin, you are sitting, you broke out of that channel, but you are now sitting in kind of this. I'd probably draw that demand zone a little bit lower here, so you're going towards that demand zone there. So yeah, coin, I could see maybe a little more move down, especially if crypto keeps getting hit. But all right, that is all I got there. That was a quick hour and a half, so yeah, that's all I got for today. If you are interested, I'm going to be doing a TikTok live later with Keith as well too, so feel free to hop on there if you want. It's just going to be the same stuff again. Otherwise, we'll probably do another one of these tomorrow. All right, have a great night, everyone.